Welcome to Stranger Than Fiction. Today we're going to take a look back in time. Let's delve into the adventurous sex lives of the Romans. Picture the bustling streets of ancient Rome, a city of marble temples, grand arenas, and power-hungry emperors. But beneath the surface of political intrigue and military conquests, there was another side to Roman life, one steeped in passion, indulgence, and a culture that reveled in the pleasures of the flesh. The Romans, far from the buttoned-up stoicism you might imagine, lived out their desires with an adventurous, almost theatrical flair. A world of sensuality. The Romans viewed sex not as something taboo but as an intrinsic part of daily life. It was celebrated in art, poetry, and even religion. Roman society was layered with complex rules of power and status, and nowhere was this more evident than in their intimate lives. For the Romans, sex was not just about reproduction or even love, it was about control, status, and, above all, pleasure. At lavish banquets, it wasn't uncommon for the wine to flow alongside sensual performances. Dancers, courtesans, and slaves provided entertainment that blurred the lines between spectacle and seduction. These gatherings could turn into decadent feasts of the body as much as of the palate. While the elite dined on exotic foods, whispered conversations of affairs, assignations, and trysts filled the air. The power of desire. In Rome, the dynamics of sex were often deeply tied to power. Wealthy men, particularly those of the patrician class, flaunted their status by taking multiple lovers, men, women, and slaves alike. Marriage, for many, was a political arrangement, but the real passion lay elsewhere. Affairs were common, and extramarital dalliances were hardly scandalous unless they disrupted social harmony. Emperors, in particular, were known for their notorious escapades, none more so than Emperor Caligula, whose reputation for debauchery stretched to orgiastic parties that lasted for days. But this wasn't just about hedonism. Roman men often saw their sexual conquests as a way to assert dominance. It was common for men to pursue both male and female lovers, though the important distinction in Roman culture was not about sexual preference but who held the dominant role in the encounter. The Romans valued virility, and the power dynamics of being the active, dominating partner were central to their identity. The women of Rome. While men's sexual freedoms were extensive, Roman women, especially of the upper classes, also found ways to navigate these indulgent waters. Some, like the infamous Messalina, wife of Emperor Claudius, took their desires to the extreme. Messalina was notorious for her voracious appetite, allegedly participating in competitions with prostitutes to see who could take more lovers in a single night. Yet, the lives of Roman women were complex. They were expected to uphold the virtues of modesty and fidelity, especially those in prominent families. But behind closed doors, many were rumored to have lovers, secret rendezvous that broke through the constraints of their public personas. Affairs with gladiators, soldiers, and even slaves weren't unheard of, and in these moments, women exercised a kind of subversive power over the men they desired. The sacred and the erotic. The boundaries between the sacred and the erotic were blurred in Roman religion. Sexuality was often entwined with the divine. The festival of Lupercalia, for instance, was a wild celebration of fertility and virility, where men dressed as wolves ran through the streets, whipping women with strips of goat hide to promote fertility. And temples to Venus, the goddess of love, were as much about worship as they were about indulging in earthly pleasures. Prostitution was legal and even sacred in some rites, with temple courtesans seen as an extension of the goddess's divine will. Art and expression. The Romans immortalized their erotic exploits in art and poetry. The walls of Pompeii, the city frozen in time by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, were famously adorned with erotic frescoes, depicting everything from tender lovemaking to wild orgies. These weren't hidden away but proudly displayed in bathhouses, homes, and public spaces, reflecting the casual openness with which the Romans approached sex. Poets like Ovid crafted verse dripping with sensuality, offering guides on the art of seduction in works like The Art of Love, which taught men and women how to play the game of passion. It wasn't just about the physical act, it was about strategy, about knowing how to flirt, how to tease, how to fan the flames of desire until the moment was right. The darker side. Yet, Roman indulgence in sex was not without its darker aspects. The same society that celebrated pleasure also saw the exploitation of slaves, who were often used as objects of gratification without regard for their own will. Sexual violence, especially against the lower classes and slaves, was disturbingly common, reminding us that the freedoms of the Roman elite came at a cost to those beneath them. The eternal seduction. In the end, the adventurous sex lives of the Romans were a reflection of their larger-than-life civilization, one driven by power, conquest, and a thirst for experience. Whether in the grand villas of the elite, the bustling streets of Rome, or the hidden corners of Pompeii, their approach to sex was fearless, unapologetic, and often entwined with the very essence of their identity. It was a world where desire and decadence knew no bounds, a world that still echoes in the history of the Eternal City. If you got this far and enjoyed this video, leave a comment. I'd like to know your thoughts on this subject. Please like, share and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching.